Hey everyone, this is the second episode of our podcast. Last time we didn't have a name for it. This time we do. Alex actually came up with it, so I'll let him. I'll let him tell you what the name is.
Yeah, so the name I think can change at any point now, but we are thinking about naming it DNA Money. Um, General topics are gonna be mostly around money, business, tech, finance, venture capital. So that should be appropriate to name it Money, and the DNA part is just our names, Daniil and Alexi. So
Or DNA. You guys can come up with something else as well. Anyways, it's just we're playing with the
money
words and letters here.
DNA. We could make a visualization of that. Just the money
For-
in a DNA form, something
Damn,
sick like that.
definitely do that. Yes.
Yeah, that'd be. I don't know. There's probably like 1,000 podcasts named DNA something, DNA, whatever.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll definitely differentiate, and I think every episode and every time we record this the show, I think we come up with some new ideas, and we still have to work on the intro and outro, logo, all this stuff. But as we go, it's just I think it's just part of the process.
Yeah, we actually, guys, if anybody is interested in how this thing goes, like there is a lot of moving parts. Whenever you watch podcasts, it's like seems pretty easy, 2 mics and let's go, but actually there's like so much setup, cameras, mics, sound interfaces.
You must see our camera setup right now. It looks amazing, but definitely.
Does it look amazing though?
A lot of work to improve or a lot of work to do. No, I think it looks amazing, honestly.
It's certainly better than the last time. Guys, last time we didn't even have like the handlers for the cameras. At least this time we do. And then our hope is it at least looks better.
Yeah, and we still have boxes, and one of the handlers stands on the mattress, which is an interesting setup, and yeah, a bunch of different equipment.
Yeah, and we maybe next time we do like a small inventory, maybe how to set up a podcast, a little guide, so people know what goes into it. They can prepare. Maybe they want to start their own show. At least you could see the way we progress. Maybe you do this with us. Just share your experience with it, and we'll share ours.
Yeah, no, and I think it's a great idea, and I think every episode we can make updates as well, just to keep the audience again up to date, and it's again it's all a part of the process, and we by no means are experts or professionals in this, but we do have a great interest to to keep going and to keep informing you guys about what we are interested in personally. So yeah, hopefully it's gonna help everyone.
Yeah, hopefully it helps us too. But this time we have a little more structure to this process. We at least came up with topics to talk about it. I mean, it's pretty revolutionary, I'd say, compared to the last time. At least we wrote them down. I don't know if we're gonna get to them all, but I hope by the episode 10 we progressed much further. We're much better at it. We can switch topics, discuss things, prepare more. Because whenever you see a big podcast, they usually do it also with a producer, like editors involved, and like sound engineers maybe even. And they make it seem so easy, but it isn't.
Yeah, no,
It's
definitely.
comparatively easy, I guess. Takes a couple of days to figure it out, but still, there's a lot of moving parts too.
Yeah, and it also involves a lot of expenses, right? It's not as it's just. I mean, you can set it up if you're ready to drop. I don't know, 50K. Actually, you can set it up in a day or two, but
that's true. But if you're just starting, maybe everything we have here is not really necessary. I mean, we have 3 cameras. To start,
Yeah.
maybe if you just want to start, and which would be the better approach, to just start and see how it goes.
Yeah.
1 camera is enough. Maybe you don't even need a mic, like record from your computer.
Yeah, or a phone or something. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, the main assets of a podcast, in my opinion, are the speakers, right, and the content makers, because that's still the audience comes here to listen to us and to extract some useful information and to learn something new, or maybe get entertained as well.
Get entertained, maybe teach us something too.
In the comments.
Yeah.
In the comment section. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I wanted to talk about the mortgage rates, because this week, I think we're recording it, it's 24th of April today, and the mortgage rates went crazy. So within last month, I think the mortgage rate almost doubled in some places. So
That's crazy.
in large cities, I think it's still around 4 or 5%, which much larger than it was before.
That's
I think the lowest was
30-year fixed rate, right?
30-year fixed rate mortgage, of course. I think it used to be 2.5%, 2.7. I have friends who have houses they bought at 2.7%. And from that going to 4 or 5, that could have a crazy implications on real estate market. And there's a lot of reasons for that rate hike, but I think the main reason has to be interest rates and federal funds rate, monetary policy of Federal Reserve, and I don't know what to expect. We still have a large shortage of real estate inventory in this country, but
especially in LA and New York.
LA, New York, still same big cities experiencing the same problems. It just, the climate is, I don't know if the prices are gonna go down by much. They must go down if the interest rates are hiking that fast.
Yeah.
But still probably not super crazy. Probably a slowdown, not the crash I'd predict.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's gonna be a crash for sure. And maybe we should give like a brief explanation of the the whole chain reaction between the high interest rates and the real estate market slowing down and the prices going down.
Yeah, so the main thing in real estate is that pretty much all of the real estate is collateralized under some mortgage, and people use mortgage as a leverage point. So usually it's 25, 30, maybe like up to 40% for commercial real estate is gonna be the down payment, and then the rest of it is mortgages. So the actual developer or real estate investor is not gonna buy a house or a building outright. So they'll ask a bank for most of the money, and some limited partners or investors, like real estate investors like you and me, maybe to put down the other part, like 25, 30, 40%.
Yep.
And so whenever the rates go up, the real estate prices must go down, because more of that money is gonna go towards mortgages. And so when that happens, they cannot sustain those valuations anymore.
Yeah.
But also, mortgages are dependent on the interest rates that Federal Reserve sets up.
Right.
So Well, maybe you can talk about that part.
Yeah, no, I guess, and I can also, you know, tell you guys how I see the, you know, the chain reaction and how it affects the real estate prices and overall. So yeah, so the interest rates, as you guys know, in the past year we had a pretty high inflation, and that's because Fed was printing a lot of money, and they were printing a lot of money because the economy was slowing down, or it could slow down because of the COVID situation, because of the you know, everything was shut down for a particular time period, and then the economy in general was about to slow down. However, government supported its people by sending out those the stimulus checks and other payments that they made to just everyone in this country, right? And that created more money and more supply of money in the country. Now, what it means is, since everyone has more money, this causes prices of everything going up, just because everyone can spend more. So everyone has a bigger spending power. Now, if everyone spends more money, prices go up. Once the prices go up, the Fed uses, you know, interest rates as one of its tools to keep the to keep the growth rate or the inflation rate within certain brackets or within certain range. And usually that has to be close to, I think, between 2 and 3% is what the standard is. And basically this time Fed decided to increase the interest rate and by a certain percentage, and they do it not, you know, rapidly or instantly. They break it down in several hikes. I think it's usually 4 or 5 hikes in a year, and the standard is 25 basis points increase per time. So basically, what it means is, you know, the interest rates went up. Now the mortgage, as Alex just explained to us, mortgages went up as well, and from my understanding, the 7%, or the increase from 3 to 4% to 7% happened because what it has, it also includes the future hikes that the Fed will make within this year. Now, obviously, it is now more expensive to buy houses, so in the real estate. So the I guess the logic here is that the supply and demand rule. The demand is going down because it's more expensive now to buy those houses, and therefore the prices will adjust for that demand, and the prices for the real estate go down as well. That's how I understand it.
Yeah, but this case it's a little bit different because prices might not go down because we still experience shortage in real estate market.
Okay.
They're not building enough houses. They haven't been building them for 2 years pretty much, and the demand is still going up. People still need houses.
Yeah, people still buy houses. Yep.
Not as much to pay like 7% for it. Definitely, I wouldn't take a mortgage right now.
Yeah.
Although it depends for what am I doing it. If the price is right, then 7%, you can probably refinance it later to a lower rate, take some money out.
Yeah. But the growth in prices is going to slow down for sure, right? Because in the past 2 years, it's just been ridiculous.
It is. So in general, I think the market is going to go down. It still makes sense to buy a good deal. It always makes sense to buy a good deal. Like if you can make enough money to cover the mortgage, keep something to yourself, it still makes a lot of sense to do it. And the market is going to adjust. So I'm just going to be buying them cheaper. And then whenever they reverse the interest rates or there is some boost in the economy, the price is going to go up again. So the market is going to favor somebody who waits long enough, at least in real estate, that's for sure. And because real estate is not going out of fashion anytime soon. I mean, we live in LA, so you could always live outside like many people do. Probably if you gather all the homeless people in this town, you can settle another one pretty big too. So, but it's not gonna go out of fashion, so might as well invest, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd wait until the prices adjust to the new reality, or I think there's gonna be a little bit of panic right now. It's probably gonna be even less inventory on the market, where people are gonna be trying to get out of real estate. There's not gonna be enough buyers. So whenever there's panic, I think there's a lot of good deals that could be made.
Well, if the wait, why would be people be looking to getting out of the real estate? Like, if you own a building, or let's say if you got in at a really low, you know,
Well, if you think
rate
it's gonna go down, how much do you think it's gonna go down? Right? So your position is leveraged. You might have bought it recently, right? And your position is
yeah.
very leveraged. It's like 2, 3, 4x leverage on your money. And if the price of the building goes down 5, 10%, 10% is real in the current environment. That could happen. Then pretty much all your equity is wiped out. And maybe some banks are gonna wanna foreclose.
Yeah.
I'm speculating a lot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if we're talking about this, big cities where the demand is still gonna be high, and as you mentioned, people they're still gonna be buyers. Then in this case, I think if the growth will slow down, but if the prices if the prices are not gonna drop, then it still makes sense to keep the houses or to keep your real estate.
yeah, the interesting thing is that I just rented this place.
Right.
And if the prices are gonna go down, because before I rented it out, I was looking at this place like 2
2020.
months ago, and the price was 15% lower than it is when I rented it, and
That's crazy.
and it kept growing. They were telling me if I sign up later, they're projecting it's gonna go higher. They actually changed the prices on their website already, and I was able to like negotiate the old price with them. But I wonder what's gonna happen now. They're probably gonna go down. So could have waited, maybe.
I mean, look, if the demand is, I mean, the rents market is still can be hot, right? The renters market, because if you think about people's income is not changing, right? Like if they keep getting the same salaries.
Well, if the market's gonna get crushed, and
Well, for example, in this building, yeah, I guess if the price but for example, this building is not. These guys are not selling any apartments, right? They just own it. It's not a condominium. It's an apartment complex. Yeah. Or you're saying that other houses prices might go down, and people, will just choose to
the
move
whole
to
market
other
is going to
places.
readjust, and they'll have to lower it. But I'm also saying that if the economy struggles, when the interest rates go up, less money on the market, businesses slow down.
Yep.
For everybody, and
Lower salaries.
less money for self-employed people, prices are still gonna have to come down a little bit. But
yeah,
I think they hiked the interest rates at the appropriate time, because the first quarter is the slowest one, like, anyway, so they couldn't really hike it up in the slowest quarter. So they're hiking it right now, and the second quarter, third, fourth should accelerate. So maybe it's just stagnates. I'm not sure. I'm not that.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. And I'm not I don't have a PhD in economics or anything like that either. But yeah, I mean, the goal here is definitely to try to slow down the inflation. The rise in prices, and I think it makes sense, because if you look at and like the gas price is the whole other topic here. But if you look at the rent, the gas, even your average, the what do you call it? Like once when you go shopping and just buying groceries once a week, I think I read somewhere that the prices may go up by like 30%. I think that's what's happening as well. And then there's this other thing that's called, I think they call it a shrinkinization,
Oh yeah.
or for example, how I understand it in fast food chains, right? They don't increase their prices. They make their portions a little bit slower by like 10%, or like, I don't know, instead of putting 6 chicken nuggets, they would put like 5.
Yeah. But in America, the volumes are so high anyway, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when there was a crazy inflation in Russia, they used to sell milk in liters, and at some point it became 0.9 liters.
Oh, that's true.
So, but here it's gallons, right? What are you gonna do? 0.9 gallon? Maybe you will.
0.9 gal.
Still a lot of milk, but that's definitely true that they can just shrink the size of the portion and say, "Oh,
Yeah.
we never increased anything."
Well, I mean, with yes, yeah, and again, yeah, that's what I think fast food chains are already doing. I'm not sure about the grocery stores. Maybe in terms of like food portions, or that might happen as well. But like with gas, I think the government is looking to subsidize that part. But again, that can only contribute for gas prices to going up, not going down, right? Because you give people more money and spending more money on gas.
They just pocket the money and then increase the price anyway. Yeah. That's also the interesting topic. One maybe we'll discuss later or in another episode. But
for sure,
you were mentioning that the government gave its people some help, but
the stimulus checks. Yeah.
What people did they give more help though? Like regular citizens received maybe 1,200 first time, 600 later, and then 1,400, I think.
Yeah.
But the big, like, couple of hundred big organizations received much more.
B&E loans or whatever they called them.
Not even that. That was a good one. But I think the latest bill, it was $2 trillion. If I'm
for stimulus payments.
No, the latest stimulus package bill.
Oh yes, I think so. Overall, it was close to like 3 trillion or.
No, the last
like
package I think was 2 or something like that.
Okay.
But if you calculate how much money they distributed to everybody, it would be around 400 billion, and so 1.6 billion went to their friends, probably, or
that's insane.
Government companies, somewhere, support of some infrastructure or something, but really it went to it went
something
to the
that was
places
not
it went
supposed to go to.
It was supposed to go there. Maybe it was necessary. I'm not saying it wasn't justified, right? So hospitals, COVID, all that stuff, but that's disproportionately way more money. Like, everybody's talking about the 1,000 they got, but how much money did other people get?
No, for sure. I agree here, and I know that, for example, people who are not. The other thing is, like, people who are not employed, they receive like tens of thousands of dollars. They were like Uber guys who just stopped working, like Uber drivers, and they've gotten a lot of like literally tens of thousands, and they would just obviously stayed home, which I would do as well, if I received that much capital. But then the regular folks that were still working, and then like, and I think that's right. Like people who received above 100K or 150K, they didn't get anything because obviously they could sustain themselves. But yeah, that's like the regular folks who actually needed money, they only got 1,600 or whatever the numbers that you named.
Actually, this city is full of people who were still working, doing cash work, Uber and all that stuff, and still got the
huge
unemployment checks.
Huh. Interesting.
This city is full of that and more. This city is.
I think it's California in its whole as a state, right? And
maybe
I don't know about other states, but
I haven't lived in other cities in California, but Los Angeles, full of scammers, just scammer on scammer.
That's because there's a lot of, I guess, immigrants, and not even that, but because the laws are so, laxed towards those immigrants. Very welcome.
I don't know if it's about immigrants. It's just a huge city. There is not enough supervision, a lot of corruption, not enough. I don't know why that happens. It doesn't happen in other large cities, and I wouldn't say that
New York City.
New York's probably crazier, right? Like whatever happens here in New York must be double. Double the money stolen, double the corruption. Whenever I look at New York, I'm like, I want to live there, but must be brutal.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to live there, and for that reason, but also just the weather. Once you move to California and just experience this, today it's 96 degrees or something like that, or 90 degrees outside, and on the East Coast it's I don't know how warm the weather is there right now, but it's definitely colder. But I also wanted to touch on the interest rates, the interest rate topic, and the private market. So we've talked about the real estate, but speaking of the, say, other private markets like venture capital or private equity, so what I see now is in venture capital, a lot of funds have raised massive amount of money, massive capital. I'm talking about billions. And at the same time, if we look at public markets, they're slowing down now, right? If you guys been noticing, prices have been going down, and in I think in almost all sectors. Now private equity always lags behind public markets, and that happens for I think usually 12 to 18 months, but obviously it depends on a lot of variables. And what's interesting is right now what I see in the industry is, again, there's a lot of capital, but the valuations are not growing as much as they used to. And I think in secondaries market, especially for big companies already, the prices are starting to like cool off a little bit, and the valuations for companies are going to probably stay at the same level or not drop, at least for the next 12 to 18 months. But after that, I think the adjustment will be made, and private markets gonna follow the public ones, and there's gonna be less capital available, as well as funding for early stage companies and for growth stage as well. So the valuations, in my opinion, will drop, but we'll have to wait for a year or two.
So let's say a year ago I would start a company, and I would try to raise a seed round, and contrary to that right now. So what would be the difference? Is it much harder? Is it?
I think today you'd still have really good chances of raising that seed round at a good valuation. Again, there is a lot of dry capital in the market right now. I think that last year was the peak for what I saw, and and not only for early stage, but for late stage as well. And last year, for example, I don't remember exactly what was the largest valuation for a seed company. Well, it was probably for the first round. It was probably the Bored Ape Yacht Club, because
Did they actually raise venture capital?
Yeah, they've raised from Andreessen, Horowitz, and I think other
What
firms.
for?
Just to expand. They just need more capital to expand quicker. But they raised at something like $4.5 billion valuation.
What are
Something
they?
like
What
that.
do they do exactly?
NFTs.
Yeah, I know it's
Yeah,
NFTs.
they just sell NFTs. I mean, I'm not an expert in that topic, so I can't say for sure. But the cash flow and their P&L, I'm sure it looks crazy. Like look at the growth of OpenSea. Those
OpenSea
guys
is a
are,
juggernaut.
yeah, they're what, like they have less than 100 employees, and they're just generating so much revenues. It's insane. Obviously, they're not disclosing it, but I think they've made more than. Okay, I'm not gonna mislead the audience. I don't remember exactly, but they made a shit ton of money. But going back,
And if you compare that to Fast.com, that employed 400 or 500 people,
yeah,
raised
they
hundreds,
raised like 150 million, or
yeah,
maybe more than that,
and
from Stripe.
never really made any money.
Their monthly recurring revenue was $15,000 or $30,000. So yeah, they never actually made money. They just went out of business, right? Just declared for bankruptcy.
But they still could raise 150 million from Stripe. What was Stripe thinking? Strategic?
So from my understanding, Fast could be their competitor, and they would benefit from like both sides. They just wanted to hedge the risk.
Yeah,
like
but
if
150 million.
If Fast,
too big of a hedge.
Yeah, but Stripe has what? They're worth like 200 billion right now. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of free cash flow, or maybe if not the free cash flow, then there's a lot of, cash balance, a really huge cash balance on the balance sheet. Yeah, I agree. It's a freaking large bet, and but I guess they just wanted to have a significant, stake in the company, because if the company succeeded, and because I guess Stripe. Sorry, I mean they're not necessarily a competitor, but I think Fast was working in a market that Stripe could get into, but they're not in the market. So if Fast succeeded, they would still, hold it upside by having equity in Fast, and then Fast bankrupted. I guess they still benefited in the sense that they could expand into that market.
Yeah.
It was a costly mistake, though.
Maybe that's why. Maybe there is some basis to Ryan Breslow, the Bolt.com CEO,
Yeah.
talking so much shit about Stripe, because.
But he actually, he talked a lot of shit about Stripe, but he only said good words about the Fast CEO, Dom.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
He was like, I would actually hire that, or no, he said I would actually invest in his new company if he was to come up with something new.
Well, what Fast did very good is hiring, clearly. I mean, to hire 400 people right now, insane. Maybe they capitalized really good on the pandemic trends, but for our company right now, we are trying to hire engineers, and it's impossible. Just impossible.
Yeah, but in Fast case, I think it was a different case because it was a fast growing startup. Like they invested or they attracted capital from one of the best fintech companies in history. Plus they were early stage and they were ready to give up equity at that time. It's like engineers would jump on that, on the leaving ship. And
but was it a fast growing company?
In terms of the publicity and with their intentions, but if it's early stage, like how do you know, right? Like if someone if someone tells you, yeah, like this guy is growing this company, and then they just received the funding from Stripe, and we're ready to pay you this much money. I'm sure it was a good salary, and then they would give you a bunch of stocks on top of that, so options on top of that. Then, like, you would probably accept the offer. Whereas with your company, I think it's a bit different because it's public one.
Still good money too, I believe. I don't know what they're offering everybody, but must be good. So, in other news in tech and capital, Netflix is down 50% this year, and
That's insane.
that's too crazy. Imagine you're a big roller. One day you think Netflix is a good company. I'm gonna invest $2 million in it. Next thing you know, your $2 million is worth $1 million. What would you do?
I would. Man, I mean, it's a really hard. If I was a crypto investor, then I would. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't. I wouldn't even stress out about this. It's like 50%, whatever. It's fine.
It goes 50% up, 50% down every day.
Yeah, those swings are definitely bearable. No, but I guess in particular with Netflix situation, I think I would sell and reallocate.
You would? I would actually hold.
You would hold?
I think I would hold. Even though I heard Bank of America, Morgan Stanley said to sell. Don't quote me on that, but I think they did qualify Netflix as a sell stock. So they think it's going to go down further.
Yeah.
I think Netflix is still big. They have been lacking in content this quarter, the last quarter I should say, but they're still Netflix. They still have good studios with them. The content is pretty good or could be pretty good. They have been delivering good content before. For example, the Squid Game was like the biggest show ever in history, I think.
Yeah.
Of Netflix, at least. They have good intellectual property. The tech is good, although it feels like it's stagnating. I haven't seen new features in Netflix, really. For me, when I go to Amazon Prime Video, it's much better.
Interesting.
Player. I'd say the website sucks for Amazon.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It's just
for Amazon or for Prime Video?
For Amazon.
Okay.
Prime Video.
Prime Video, okay.
It's awful. Search is non-existent, but the player itself is just amazing.
I see.
And Netflix has been kind of at the same place for a while now. I'm sure they are investing crazy money into AI and promoting their products, and the platform is ever scaling. But I think it's still a great company. It's still a great technology company. The content is pretty good. I don't know if they can turn it back really, but they could still come up with something to sell more. I don't know what do you think is the way out for them?
I mean, so I think a couple of comments on what I think the reason is for for so many subscribers leaving the platform. And I think the last statistics was 200,000 subscribers have left the platform, and then Netflix projects 2 more million subscribers leaving the platform within a year, which is crazy amount of users. I think the cause, number one, really high competition, right? They were pioneers in that space, and kudos to them. They did an amazing job. And obviously, if everyone sees that this is a big market and there's a high demand for the product, then competition follows. And as you mentioned, Amazon Prime Video Disney Plus launched their platform a year ago, right? Or 2 years ago, I think.
Maybe 3
Or
already.
3 years ago, yeah. But I think they're doing pretty well. Hulu, HBO Max, all of those guys have the platform. So, yeah, first of all, it's the competition. Second of all, I think in terms of content, I think that's where it gets also interesting. And I saw this tweet from Musk, I think a couple of days ago, where he mentioned that the woke mind or mindness, the wokeness mind, have affected Netflix or have ruined Netflix, right? And I guess he talks about how, and this is just an objective point, or the factual point, that how actors are being selected for a particular show is based on the quotas, right? There has to be this amount of, let's say, African Americans, of white people, of Asian people, and then this affects the content as well, or like especially if it's a historical content. And now I think what market might be signaling or saying is that the demand is going down because of that as well.
I don't know if Netflix is that big into woke cinema though. Maybe it is. I only see the biggest shows from Netflix anyway.
Yeah.
And those shows are usually not PC woke style shows. So maybe I have selection bias. So
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't really see that with Netflix. I see that a lot of with Disney. Disney is just it's all that and more, but they're doing good, so that kind of proves that point wrong, I think.
Well, they're doing, but yes, they're doing good, but I think it's also because of the genres of the shows, right? They're more about sci-fi or just fantasy. Like they can build their own worlds. Sorry, they can they can introduce their own heroes. They can basically do whatever they want as long as long as they can come up with something new and something really cool. Like with Netflix, like I guess this is the case as well, but maybe I'm mostly talking about like documentaries or some of the TV shows that are based on real history, but where the actors are not necessarily represented or represent the true events.
I don't know if that's.
You think it's just
not
big enough?
I just don't watch those shows. I don't know if the blowback is that crazy there. I just think.
I mean, at the end of the day, for Netflix, what affected the stock price is that the subscribers are leaving again, right? An enormous amount, and they've another reason it could be or cause of that is that they've hiked up their prices as well, right? Like it was 2 months ago or 3 months ago by a couple bucks.
But I think it's worth it. What is
no,
it
I think it's worth
bucks?
it, but I think they have like two versions. One is regular or basic one for 10 something, 10.99, and then they have
That's not a lot.
the Ultra HD or something like that.
The cable TV
Is more expensive.
Way more expensive.
Yeah, but a lot of these families usually have several accounts, right? I mean, or using several platforms. Like you have Netflix, you probably have like Hulu as well, or HBO or whatever.
And you also have cable TV.
You also have cable TV, yeah.
So
I don't know.
just ditch cable TV. But Netflix maybe is down, but there was also a launch, pretty big launch. CNN Plus.
I saw that. It's insane. I actually didn't know about it before I saw their recent news.
Anybody knew about it. I think if they came out with the news that they failed and they actually didn't fail, they would have succeeded more than they did, because I only forgot about it when they failed. And shut down a platform in 2 weeks. It was after launch.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks or so, less than a
That's
month. That's insane.
insane.
And they've spent how much? They burned 250 million or something like ridiculous amount of capital.
The talent costs a lot, and I wonder. At least, yeah, that they must have laid off all those people who worked on it too. Insane.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to see what exactly happened there. And like usually before launching your platform, you would do like a better alpha version, beta version, right? And you would test it within some area, region, with some audience. And I guess it didn't go. It went horribly probably when they still launched it, and they're like, okay, it's not working out.
Yeah.
What do you know? Even what was the content gonna be about? Like, what are the?
There's some
benefits
shows with the personalities from CNN.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anybody's a fan of a CNN host. They must
Yeah.
have fans.
Yeah.
I guess not enough.
Yeah.
And
Maybe this on Netflix as well. They're like, oh shit, these guys are not doing well.
but I think it was not related. But yeah, another story about layoffs is better.com. Have you heard about that?
Better.com. Yeah. When did they shut down?
They didn't shut down yet. I think they SPAC'd, and I don't know.
Is
if
it a
this
media company?
Better.com is Better Mortgage.
Oh.
So they're a online mortgage broker. So what they do is they run a website. They pair you with a bank, and then you pay mortgage through them. They collect their fees, and they make money like that. And they started laying off people, I think, in the beginning of this year, right after or before the New Year's. And they just botched every time they tried to fire people. Their CEO goes into Zoom meeting and he's like,
Oh yeah.
Have you
I
seen
know
that?
what you're talking about. Yeah. When he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. That was a difficult step for me to make, but I have to fire all of you guys. And then he resigned like a week.
No, he didn't resign. He's still there. He went for a vacation.
Oh, he went for a vacation.
Yeah, and he's still there. So they got, I think they got 900 million from this venture fund, the most popular venture fund.
Sequoia.
No,
Andreessen Horowitz.
nope,
NEA.
nope.
KPCB.
The one that
Kleiner
funded
Perkins?
WeWork,
Oh,
the-
SoftBank.
SoftBank.
Yeah.
Yep. So they got 900 million from SoftBank for SPAC, and right after that they started firing people. So first time they fired 900 employees. Second time I think they fired something around 600, and
Wow.
just a couple of days ago they fired another more than 1,000 people.
Wait, how many
Again.
employees do they have?
They had something like 8 or 9,000 employees.
Wow.
That's
All in
a
the
lot.
US?
I don't know about that.
But they only operate within the US, right? Or provide
They
their
do.
service.
I think they do
Got it.
only US.
That's insane.
And like right now, it's almost half of the amount they started this process with, and every time the media just goes crazy. Every time they fire, and there's so much conversations, like the LinkedIn is a social media too, and people are posting. It's pretty cringy. Have you been on LinkedIn, like browsing stuff, seeing what people post?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I use LinkedIn a lot. I'm not as active anymore as I used to, but yeah, I use it a lot, and there's cringe stuff sometimes.
So whenever the first layoff went through, people were like, "Oh, whoever got fired, they just weren't good employees and they didn't work," and that was the line of the CEO. He was like, "These people don't work. We don't want them."
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that. And then the second time came around. These people that were saying that arguing about the people that got laid off. They got the same treatment, and then right now too. And I don't know, like, it's reasonable for them to be shrinking right now because of the mortgage rates. For sure, there's gonna be less mortgages issued right now, but to be laying that many people in that fashion is pretty crazy. But that's another implication of mortgage rates, and then all those people have to find a new job. And
do you know what their responsibilities was more, or like what departments? Usually it's like marketing is the first one to lay off.
It was pretty much across the board. There is a breakdown. Maybe we'll pull it up, but
got it.
There is a breakdown. I don't know if a lot of engineers went out, but I'm not sure.
Because usually, Better.com looks like a huge company, right? But for, let's say, Series B company that goes out of business or really cuts on their expenses, they also fire a lot of great engineers or just great people, right? Because they're so early, they try to hire all the best ones, and once they fire them, like it's a amazing grab for other companies, and that's what happened in the beginning of 2020. I remember that because Series A companies or Series B, some of them were running out of cash and they didn't know what's going to happen, so they just cut their expenses. And there were like a lot of amazing talent in the market. And I mean, those people actually got jobs pretty quickly, especially the like high quality engineers.
Yeah, I was the one laid off too.
Oh, you were laid off as well? Okay.
April 2020. But I decided to do entrepreneurship.
Nice.
And went to another city and did all that stuff. And
wait, you came here to LA, right?
First I went to North Carolina. And we tried to raise money for real estate, but it was weird times. People were like, the investors were like, let's wait.
Do you think you would, well, now since the mortgage went up?
Now it makes sense. It would make a lot of sense to invest a lot of money in real estate back then in 2020.
Wait, now it would? With the mortgages going up?
Looking back at time, it would make sense to invest at that time.
In 2020,
whenever I tried to raise money.
Yeah.
But the investors were saying we're looking at millions of foreclosures that are coming in. We're going to be waiting and then we're going to buy cheap. That never happened, but that's another story.
Yeah. Okay. And that's because of the court orders, right? Like they were not allowing.
There was a moratorium for eviction, so nobody could get evicted. And that I think in some states it's still going on. COVID is not over, actually. I haven't looked at the numbers for months, but it's not over.
Yeah, it's still here, and I think like several weeks ago I saw news that even in LA there was a spike in this, like a sub-variant of some variant. But it looks like the masks mandate is going down even within the airline industry.
It's still, you still go to the restaurant, they wear mask, and you go to the store. Uber, they make
Uber, they still make you. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to get on Uber yesterday, and I couldn't find a mask.
Yeah.
I throw them all away. First thing I did, but
cool.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have? I guess since we're talking about LA, there's a lot of problems that this city has, and one of the sharp problems is the homelessness crisis.
Yeah, the homelessness, it's pretty crazy. I started reading an article from Guardian on homeless people and how they move around the non-profits that fund their bus tickets. They call them one-way bus tickets, and so I was always wondering, why do they do that? Because if you watch the right-wing media, they blame like those non-profits for sending those people just to get rid of them, but it's actually not true. The true reason, that there must be a lot of reasons to do that. Some of them are doing this, of course, with intent to just send those people away and get rid of them and never see them again in their city, which makes sense to some degree. No city would want to manage homeless people at scale, and but the actual reason was they claim that they're trying to send those people home and send those people to the places where they could get support. And they're sending these people to meet family, to sleep on somebody's couch, to meet friends. They often end up on the street again, though. And usually, I read the story about one of the guys that got that one-way ticket. So he got into a shelter and they offered him to go to his family. So they bought him a ticket. He got on a bus, moved through half the country, and got to a city. But whenever he returned and tried to go back into that shelter, they were like, "You are banned for life now because you took this ticket. You must leave there now." And so he forced to be on the street pretty much. At least he claims to. I don't know.
Why did he get back to that shelter? Or try to get back to that shelter?
He tried to get back to that shelter.
His family was not helping him? Or?
I guess they weren't, and he wanted to go back to his city that he likes.
I see.
Even though he's homeless there, but he tries to get back into that shelter that he's used to, and they're like, "You're not welcome. You took the ticket. You must be there." And so he lives on the street now. And but I also believe that a lot of that reallocation programs are just people trying to clean the streets and put the problem on somebody else. It's that the problem is that everybody's doing that. And so people are just moving them around, spending crazy money on buses. The bus companies must be where the money is at with the homeless people. If you can come up with a bus line that can work with those non-profits and move homeless people efficiently, because not every bus line probably wants to move homeless people, even if they pay for it, if the non-profit pays for a ticket, right? But if you could figure it out, that's a good business opportunity, I believe.
Yeah.
And whenever these homeless people end up in LA, there's whole other corruption scheme that going on. The government of California and Los Angeles, I think, they're just issuing those like construction permits and stuff and funding those initiatives. But whenever they build those housing units, first of all, I don't think it's a housing problem. I think it's drugs problem, mental issues problem. Maybe 15% of it, to be generous, is a housing problem. It's not that they cannot find a house. It's that they're on drugs and they're mentally ill. And the government funds those programs. They build the housing, but the housing is crazy expensive. So who got the money? Like, homeless people didn't benefit from it because you cannot really shelter them if they're using drugs. If they're crazy, if they're fighting with other people, you have to throw them out. So they don't benefit from it. But the areas that they're building these housing units in, they don't benefit from it because there's homeless people around every time. And then the friends of the government benefit from it, and I guess the government itself gets a new new round of funding. The non-profits that lobby for homeless people get more money, and the whole vicious cycle.
So what happens with those buildings that are, that were built with government money, and then you're saying they're too expensive for,
Well, they're operated by those non-profits, so government pays.
Okay.
Everybody pockets the money. I mean,
but they still let in those homeless people, right?
They are supposed to. It's just those homeless people cannot use drugs there, and so they don't really go there. And I think they built a large homeless housing building somewhere near downtown, and this building was pretty much empty, and you could see the tents outside of it after they opened it. So I don't know. The problem is very complex, and I was thinking about this problem for a long time, and I could not find a solution that wouldn't involve violence or some crazy freedom restrictions.
Yeah.
So probably not up to me to talk about it, about the solutions, because I couldn't come up with a good idea to like make everybody happy. Maybe somebody can, but
yeah. No, but I agree. I mean, fundamentally, it's like the problem of drugs and people with mental illnesses, and like unless you solve those problems, solving homelessness crisis would be really, really hard. And I guess it all starts with like education and employment, all of that standard stuff that they talk about even in schools, and
drug enforcement maybe. But that's a whole problem in itself. Drug enforcement is the war on drugs wasn't a big success. So if we're gonna start another one, that's not a way either. But these people are clearly on drugs, and they're crazy.
And sick,
like maybe I told you the story. One time I went to the laundry, and I have probably every person in Los Angeles has a story about a homeless person trying to assault them or something crazy happening. But I went to the laundry, and whenever I was leaving, I packed my stuff, and this homeless person he started looking at me crazy, and then he started picking up rocks from the floor, and first he was throwing those rocks at the passing cars, and then he saw me and he started throwing rocks at my car. And that's regular stuff in LA. And what am I gonna do? What am I gonna fight him? What for? I mean, I don't want to touch the guy. So did you just drive away? I just drove away. But what are you supposed to do? Like, you're not gonna call cops. Cops are not gonna come. They don't care, because
it's a minor issue.
It's a minor issue. They have bigger problems to handle. They're underfunded, or at least they say they are. I don't know what the truth is. So the other problem is, one of my friends, they run a car dealership. And it's one of those joints where it's a huge parking lot in an office building, and like in that office building there could be like 10 companies, 10 car dealerships selling their cars on that lot. And they had 3 break-ins.
Wow.
So a gang comes in at night, breaks walls into those offices, steals everything.
Those are glass walls, right?
No, those regular walls.
He broke the wall?
Sheetrock, you can break it with anything. And they break walls, they break doors, and they just stole everything. 2 weeks later, they come back.
That's insane.
They come back, do it again. And then I think 2 months later, They came back, stole everything from there, and next day the owner calls the cops, and he's like, everything got robbed. I got robbed, and um,
The cops.
the cops are like, is anybody dead there? Is there violence? And they just didn't come.
That's
They're like, file
insane.
it, go to police station, file a report, and they don't really
Yeah.
care. So whenever the
That's
homeless
insane.
person throws rocks and nobody's hurt,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like, file the report. Maybe we'll go look at it.
Yeah. No, I think there's just so many cases like this that they don't even bother to come. And I don't know if I mean they probably have other more serious things to do or other more violent cases, but I and we all see the the increasing crime rate and all this the burglaries in the middle of the day, like 12 p.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and that happens in like Beverly Hills and all this rich areas as well, right? Where you would think they would have more security, but nah, it still happens a lot. Like look at Rodeo Drive. 3 weeks ago, there were 2 robberies in 1 week. It's insane. Like jewelry stores, and then I think Louis Vuitton was almost got dropped or got dropped. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, no, that happens just everywhere. And like at this point, you just I don't know, maybe you want to have a gun on you or something, just in case.
I don't know if the gun helps. What, are you gonna shoot the person? If you're getting robbed, maybe. But
I mean, if they are, but yeah, it's another problem because if they have a gun and they see that you have a gun, like they
yeah,
might just shoot first. Yeah, but or another crazy case in DTLA, for example, a week ago I read that the guy was just walking down the street. He was visiting LA. I don't know exactly what part of DTLA was it, but he's walking down the street. Was on a FaceTime with his brother. Was just holding his phone like this, talking to his family member, and then some random guy, like crazy guy, just approached him and like stabbed him into the neck, and then ran away. And then the guy died on the way to the ambulance. And he was just visiting there for, I think it was for Easter holiday. So it's insane. Like you could just be walking down the street and then some crazy guy kills you, and they still didn't find him. It's insane. Yeah. But I wanted to quickly share the story that happened to me. I don't know if I told you about this, but 2 years ago, I had a business meeting in a restaurant in West Hollywood. I don't remember what exactly the place was, but basically we got this table right across the window, same way we're sitting now, and there were five people, five people. So the 2 guys that I had a meeting with were sitting right across, like right next by the windows, like you and me. And then there were 2 more people here, and I sat like right across the window, so I could basically see whatever was going on outside. And so, long story short, 40 minutes into the meeting, I see this homeless guy. Well, first of all, I hear the sounds like someone's banging at the walls, like. Doof, doof, doof. I was like, what the hell is this? And then I see this homeless guy passing by our window, and then I accidentally, got eye contact with him, and he saw that as well. So he goes away, but then he comes back, and he like gets close to the window, like really really close, starts shouting something, and then I thought he would like hit the window, right, with his right hand, and then instead that motherfucker just fucking kicks the window, breaks the glass because the window was like very old and it's just a regular glass. Breaks the glass. Everyone freaks out. I was like, what the hell is going on? The glass like shattered. The glass pieces got into our food. One of the guys that was like sitting right by the window, he got what do you call it? He got caught by glass. And yeah, it was insane. Like the whole restaurant was like, what's going on? And then the guy starts screaming because he hurt his leg as well. He's like starts jumping and like bleeding, jumping on one leg. But the funniest shit is that he tried to get into the restaurant after this. So the waiters had to hold the doors so that he doesn't get in. And everyone was under shock, and then police got to the spot and they arrested him. But like everyone was just under shock. And it was also interesting to see everyone's reaction, because one guy was like sitting in my spot. He like jumped away. He's like, what the fuck? He just jumped away. And then the guy who got caught, he was like just sitting still like this. And he was like looking at his hand, and his hand was like bleeding. And then I was sitting there as well. I didn't even stand up, but I was like super angry at the guy for some reason. I was like super angry. And then there were two my wife was there as well, and then one of my colleagues. I think they just jumped off as well. But yeah, crazy story.
Yeah, pretty soon we're gonna just another day in LA.
Yeah, the good thing we got our free food.
That's good, I guess. Okay, let's conclude this episode. I think it was a little better this time.
Yeah, I think we're getting better and better, and what we want to do in general, just be more structured, be more organized, and what we can discuss, debrief after the episode.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
subscribe, comment, maybe share it if you like it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone, and have a great days.